Hello and welcome back to the Soul Chat podcast. Today I'm going to talk about the Healing Diary Workbook that I created a little while ago. And some of the tips that I included in that. This is like the closest thing that I've been to in writing a book. And I really love the journey, love the process, and feel like it's such a great tool to have in terms of like self-reflection, journaling, and like creating a sacred space to connect with yourself. So, a little bit of background on this diary workbook. Well, I really wanted to put something together that encapsulated everything that I had been learning and sharing online for like the past 7 years. And I wanted to make it like practical, like something that you could print out, you could use numerous times and have like a little bit of an inspiration hit when you needed it. So it is 22 topics. There's journal prompts, there's healing tips, meditations. It's all aimed at building self-confidence, self-acceptance, and ultimately self-love, which I believe is a doorway to healing and manifesting the life that you truly desire. So it's like a PDF download. You can print it at home, make notes, print it as many times as you want. I think it's a really cool practice to do at the start of the year, end of the year, monthly, in transition periods, like maybe when you're going through a breakup or a big life change, moving house, changing jobs. It's really designed to meet you wherever you're at on your healing path, your life path. And it can be interesting to reflect on past journal entries and just see how much you have grown and changed over the years. I know that's something that I have definitely noticed looking back in old journal entries or where I've been going through a difficult time and then being able to reflect back on that and really take note of the tools, the mindset, the practices that I use to work through that. It's like connecting with past versions of myself, future versions of myself, and really taking some mindful moments to pause and uncover like the real gems that came through. So if you want to follow along with me with your own copy of the Healing Diary Workbook, you can get it on my website, my link tree, or if you just want to listen in today and hear what it's all about, go for that too. I'll invite you to take a breath in as we get started and letting go. And just taking a moment to settle into the space that you're in, wherever you are. And let's begin. So I start off this diary by saying, when we take responsibility for ourselves and our healing, the ripple effect is felt by all the people in our lives, our communities, and the world as a whole. So I really love to come back to this idea that healing it might seem like it's a real individual journey, but it has such profound effects on the world. And so sometimes people might say it can be like selfish, or it can be like, just focusing so much on yourself. And while it may seem like that, I feel like it has really big impacts. And just for example, like the work that I've done to heal myself and to work through some really tough things, I've been able to alchemize into purpose. And by sharing what I've learned and by helping others and being on this healing path and, working with community, it has had this ripple effect. I have had so many people reach out to me on social media and, thank me for speaking openly about some of the things I've been through. And so I really trust that it is a beautiful endeavor, not only for yourself, but for the collective. So that's where we're beginning here. All right, I've got my book here. I'm just going to look at the first one. The first little note I have is all about intention setting. So setting an intention for healing becomes a guiding force. It can be a real anchor. It can help us to harmonize our actions and thoughts with our aspirations, something that we can come back to when we feel a bit lost or stuck. It can also really help to provide clarity about what our true desires are and empower us to navigate life with purpose and self-awareness. So, some examples of intentions with healing: it could be cultivating self-compassion, it could be embracing imperfections, building self-confidence, learning how to take better care of myself. And there's also intentions like real kind of like material or like physical things, like I want to get a new job, I want to learn how to do a push-up, I want to make this money, like whatever it is. But what we'll find is when we set the intention, it's not just about reaching that goal. Like it's not just about doing that push-up. It's about who we become on our way there. What kind of person do I have to become to learn how to do a push-up? To learn how to, or to find an aligned partner. Like whatever it is, setting the intention is like, yeah, it's good to have that goal, but then it's like, okay, let's kind of step back and think about what we can do to get there. So you might want to take a little moment and think about, what is your intention? You might have a few different ones. You might have a big goal and then some smaller goals, or how do you want to show up in your life? And some of these intentions might be a bit fuzzy. It might be like, oh, I'm not really sure where to start. And this is really like where journaling can come into play, and doing some free flow journaling, just kind of, setting aside a timer, 10, 20 minutes or however long you have, and just free flow and just write and see what comes up. Circle the words that stand out to you and see if there's any common threads. That can be a really beautiful place to get started. So there are 22 topics in this little diary workbook. I'm not going to speak through all of them, but just pick out a few key ones. And the next one I want to share is about the process of alchemy. So this is saying that true deep healing isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it can be painful and messy as we bring to the surface all that doesn't serve us. The integration process may include feeling and accepting painful emotions or aspects of ourselves that we have buried deep down. And I just want to pause here and note that sometimes doing this alone through a journaling practice or meditation or, whatever it is you use is great, but sometimes having a support team around you can be really helpful, especially if we're diving into really painful memories, trauma, anything that's really going to destabilize us and kind of flood us and put us outside our window of tolerance. So it can be really helpful to have a therapist to work alongside, a healer, a coach, someone that you trust, someone that you feel safe with to explore these things with. I guess as for myself, I am studying psychotherapy and counseling. I am really aware of the mind, the body, how things work, how we process things. And I really see the value in therapy. I myself have had a therapist and various therapists over the years, and really really value the support of them. So, here I'm saying that you don't have to do it alone. If you are having financial issues accessing therapy help, there are student services that are available at a cheaper rate. Also, community health centers have access. I also have a bunch of resources on my website to point you in the right direction. I want to say here that remember that you are human and it's okay to feel however you feel. The workbook that I've created is designed to give you tools, encouragement, inspiration to support you on your healing journey and overall well-being and life. I also note that healing takes courage, surrender, patience, and trust in the process. Part of that process is about taking our power back, empowering ourselves to be our own best healers, remembering that we have all the answers within. And when we empower ourselves, we consciously choose to take responsibility for our well-being and our lives. And also remember that our souls will only guide us to this healing work when we are ready. So trust in that and trust where you are in life and on your journey. Okay. Take a breath here if you need. I know I will. Okay, so next up we have self-compassion. I love talking about self-compassion. I honestly had never really had a concept of self-compassion and what that actually meant in practice until I was really struggling and really struggling with my mental health, with OCD, with hating the thoughts I was having, hating the feelings I was having, hating just the whole experience. I had no idea that self-compassion could be so powerful. And really, I had done a lot of work on accepting myself, accepting my experience, healing, processing emotions, but it wasn't until I started actively practicing self-compassion in the moment of flare-ups, in the moment of having a trigger. That was when my healing really stepped up to the next level. And what I mean by that is that I felt like I was doing all this work, but there was still something I was striving for. I still didn't feel safe or comfortable within myself. And it was self-compassion and learning how to tend to my own needs that really started to soothe my soul. So I love talking about it. So it's easy to be kind and compassionate when things are going well, we're feeling good. The real test is to be kind and compassionate when we stuff up or when we feel shamed, guilty, unworthy, low, depressed, anxious, anything. The soul wants the best for us. It wants us to grow. It wants us to evolve. It wants us to expand our capacity for love, for self-love, for acceptance. So in our life, we will be provided with opportunities to strengthen our self-compassion muscle, to see how kind we can be towards ourselves, even when and especially when we are feeling crappy. So with this awareness, we can use each moment of suffering as an opportunity to lean in closer to self-compassion and ultimately self-love. So self-compassionate self-talk might sound like, I did the best I could today, or it's okay to make mistakes, it's how I learn, or I forgive myself for what I did when I was learning, or this is a moment of suffering, I've got you, I'm here, it's okay. Or I know I'm struggling to be kind to myself right now. How can I offer this part of myself some compassion for trying? And so there are so many ways that we can talk to ourselves with compassionate care. And I really invite you to find what works best for you. These are some like templates, some examples of what is possible, but you might have some other words and phrases that really resonate, that really soothe you. And one of the keys with self-compassion is to feel it in our bodies. So it's like feeling the part of us that is really tight or really heavy. And then when we're saying these compassionate phrases to ourselves, check in with this part that feels really heavy. What does that part notice about what it feels like to be spoken to in that way? Tara Brach is a meditation teacher, and she speaks a lot about self-compassion and has a really beautiful meditation called the Rain of Self-Compassion, which stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nourish. I love her practices. You can search for it on YouTube, but she also really speaks about this embodiment in feeling where the part of us that is struggling. So rather than it being just like an intellectual thing, like, yes, I'm compassionate, yes, we're okay, and then, getting on with your day, for it to really sink in and to feel it in our bodies, there's this invitation to take this time to slow down and be with that part that's struggling. Kristen Neff is a self-compassion researcher. She also has some really beautiful content about self-compassion, and her website is full of meditations, practices, all those wonderful things. And she has a quote that I love that says, "Instead of striving for constant self-improvement, allow yourself to be kind to yourself as you are. Acceptance of yourself and your circumstances is a first step towards positive change." And I really love this, especially when we're thinking about healing and being on a healing journey and wanting to change or fix ourselves. Like, yes, that's beautiful. It's beautiful to want to be kind to yourself and, tend to yourself and work on yourself. But there's also this, it's like this paradox where, wow, can I actually just like give myself a pat on the back for how I am right now? Can I try to accept my experience as I am in this moment, instead of like what some future version of myself would be like, or when I finally heal this pain, or when I finally get over this issue, or can we like give ourselves some kindness and compassion for where we are at right now? So the way we speak to ourselves actually really matters. When we are kind and caring towards ourselves, it raises our vibration and it pulls us out of self-judgment. When we do that, it strengthens our solar plexus chakra and it connects us back with our hearts. So it can take a little bit of practice to get started, but once you do, you can start to see every moment of suffering as an opportunity to practice a little bit more self-compassion, a little bit more kindness. In this way, we start to become our own amazing, caring, nurturing, supportive, and loving best friend. So tending to yourself with a little extra kindness and self-compassion will significantly increase your sense of well-being, especially as we journey through life's ups and downs. So in the workbook diary, there's a little prompt that says, in challenging moments, how can you speak to yourself with compassion? So yeah, as I said before, it's about finding what works for you, finding the phrases that mean most to you and really resonate. You might even like to write these on little post-it notes. That's what I do. Write them on little post-it notes around your home, or write it in as like a photo, like put it on a screensaver on your phone, or put it in your notes app, somewhere that when you are struggling, you can reach for that and you can start to nourish yourself. Okay, the last topic that I want to share with you today from the Healing Diary Workbook is 5 tips to connect to your inner wisdom. So, the first one is journaling. Yay! I'm really big on journaling. If you haven't started journal practice yet, why not give it a go? Like, see what it's all about. So, I think it's a really beautiful way to start a dialogue with yourself. You could talk to all parts of yourself. What I mean by that is like your inner child, your higher self. You can ask questions, you can free flow, see what comes up. You can also write to parts of yourself in terms of like pain parts, your emotions. So, for example, if you have a headache, you could say, "Dear headache, why are you here? What do you want me to know?" And then write back from the headache's perspective and see what comes up. Or you could write to your anxiety. "Hi, anxiety. What are you doing here again? Please tell me what I need to know." And then from the anxiety's perspective, write back. What does anxiety have to say? And then you can go back and forth until you get some insight. I think it's amazing the wisdom, the inner wisdom we all hold, our bodies hold, our psyches hold, our souls hold. Sometimes we get a little bit cut off from that, but journaling and starting this dialogue with yourself is a really beautiful way to keep building this muscle. You could ask your fears question. Just asking questions and just see what comes up in a stream of consciousness. And if you don't know what to write, write that. Just start off writing, "I don't know what to write. This is silly. I don't know what's happening. Blah, blah, blah." You might want to put a timer on. You might want to write 3 pages. That's what, like morning pages, if you've heard of that. That's like 3 pages. I like to write in a really big notebook, like proper like A4 size, and just like free flow and just let it go. And it's, yeah, a really great way to get those creative juices flowing as well. Okay, the second tip is about meditating. So this is about giving yourself time and space to connect within without forcing, without trying to get anywhere, allowing yourself an opportunity to tune into your senses. You might follow your breath. Perhaps you might listen to a guided meditation practice. There are actually so many different types of meditation. I really like mindfulness meditation because it's about tuning into the here and now and connecting with your senses without trying to change it, without trying to make it go away, without trying to force anything. You're being with what is in the present. There's heaps of guided meditations online, YouTube, Insight Timer app. I've uploaded a bunch there if you want to listen to my voice. Again, find what works for you. But carving out that time to meditate in a time of your day, whether it's, start the day, end of the day. I actually have recorded an episode years ago. You'll find it on my podcast page, how to start a meditation practice. So that might be a really great starting point if you want to get some more tips. Okay, number 3, spending time in nature. Of course, you might just listen to the sounds of the birds, feel the wind, the sunshine on your skin, breathe, and just be. Like, tap out of doing mode and go into being mode, where you're just being with what is. Noticing what you can see, noticing what you can hear. And that brings me to my next point. Switch off the screens. Take a tech break. Log off and tune into yourself and let your vibration recalibrate to your essence. This is such a big one, and I'm going to speak way more on this, but the effect that screen time has on us, and particularly short form content, those quick dopamine hits, looking at TikTok or Instagram or all of that, that can really disconnect us from our own inner wisdom and really feed our brains and psyches with all of this other information and energy that isn't ours. I have really loved learning so much about dopamine the past few years and how it impacts our bodies and our nervous system. I really recommend the book Dopamine Nation. There's also The Dose Effect, DOSE. And I have really had to, I'm just human too. I also get stuck in these patterns of scrolling and, whatnot. But I've really had to take a cold, hard look at myself and the person I want to be and take aligned action with that. And so with that, the person I want to be isn't scrolling endlessly online. It isn't consuming thousands of hours of content. That's not the person I want to be. The person I want to be also isn't just completely not online. I love online. I love learning through different pages on Instagram. I love sharing my own content. I love all of that. So I don't want to completely delete it and go offline. But there's something called the middle way, the middle path. And this is really big in Buddhism. It's about being in balance, being in harmony, being in flow. And so what this has meant for me is that, yes, I will still check social media. I will still be on a screen, but I'll be really intentional with that time. And I'll be really mindful about the impact that it's having on my well-being, because I know when I've spent hours scrolling, it feels like I've eaten junk food. I feel my vibration literally zapping the life out of me. And so now if I'm going to check my screens, if I'm going to check social media, I'll make a real intention to only do it 3 times a day, after meals, just for a short amount of time, and then getting on with my day and being really present and mindful with myself. And I cannot tell you how much my intuition has switched on from doing this, how much my nervous system has regulated. I really want to click when I say that. I have had so many intuitive downloads, creative inspiration. This podcast was born from those times. It's really got to take my power back when I'm not sucked into screen time. So that was my number 4, to switch off the screens. And number 5 is movement. That could be yoga, exercise, running, dancing, hula hooping, anything that gets you into your body and out of your head and allows the energy to flow. This can inspire intuition to grow. So again, find what works for you and make time to do it. There has been so many times in my life where I've felt really stuck, and also I don't want to go to class. I don't want to go dancing. I don't want to do that. But then I go, I'm present with my body. And then afterwards, wow, I feel like I've just had an energy healing because I kind of have. Like, it's amazing what happens when, again, putting that intention in. What kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be a person that just like, sits on the couch all day? Or do I want to be a person who nurtures myself, who takes time to do the things I enjoy, gets into my body, feels strong, feels flexible? That's actually what I'm working on this year. I'm so not flexible, but I'm really dedicated to being a person that can do the splits. If you've got any tips, please send them my way. So that is your 5 tips to connect to your inner wisdom. Journal, meditate, spend time in nature, switch off the screens, and movement. So what are you excited or curious to try? That's my question to you. These are clues from your intuition. Follow them. If I've said something that sparked your interest, this is your intuition. Make a note of it. And then the really important part is take action. Take aligned action on it. Make time to do it. Sign up to that class. Go to that gym. Go to that running club. Dance in your room. I love dancing in my room. I love putting on music and just having a little boogie to myself, looking in the mirror, whatever. Like, make it your own. Do it for you. Okay, so that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in. Again, would love your feedback, comments, questions. I think on this podcast, you can like follow me or subscribe. I don't know exactly how it works, but if you want to do that, do that. Let's stay in touch. I would love to see how things flow for you. And I will see you next time.